Welcome to the Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life, and where every story is seasoned with a touch of elegance. As we ease out of summer's final sigh, I thought we'd take a moment to reflect on Labor Day. Not just the barbecues and beach towels, but the deeper roots behind the holiday. Did you know the first Labor Day parade was held in 1882 with thousands of workers marching through Manhattan? Or that the no white after Labor Day rule was once a way for the elite to separate themselves from the working class? Early Labor Day events featured brass bands, floats, and speeches calling for fair wages. Today, it's more about leisure travel and retail sales. And the state of Oregon led the way. It was the first state to officially recognize Labor Day in 1887, 7 years before it became a federal holiday. The 1935 Labor Day hurricane was one of the most intense storms to hit the U.S., making the holiday infamous in weather history. And did you know that Labor Day poems exist? Joseph Miller's Labor Day poem, his poem called Labor Day, captures the sleepy, reflective mood of the holiday with lines like, "Even the bosses are sleeping late in the dusty light of September." And though summer officially ends on the autumnal equinox, which is around September 22nd, Labor Day has become the symbolic farewell to pool parties and backyard barbecues. And I did mention about the no white after Labor Day myth. This fashion rule originated in the early 20th century. It was, again, as mentioned, a way for the elite to distinguish themselves from the working class. But today it's mostly ignored, but it still does spark some debate. So now it's back to school and back to work, back to the office. And our segment today is an interview on back to school lunches, how to pack back to school lunches to make them healthier, and also how to encourage your kids to eat healthier. But as I've been mentioning, all this month, half of the month of August and all the month of September, we're doing back to school segments and back to school guide, or back to school guides, which you can find at themarialiberatishow.com. And each week I have been finding products that I'd like to recommend for this time of the year for back to school. The companies do send me products. I have to tell you, they are sending them to me, but I do review them, and I will only recommend to my audience products that I love and that I would use myself. So this is a great dorm product, to give a great scent to your dorm room. Virgin River Sunshine Room Spray. That's one product that I did find, and I think it's a great product to freshen up your room, your dorm room, your room at home, your home. And then we also have, this is a great product especially for those moving into dorms, but even at home, even in your own bedroom, the Cijo memory foam pillow. And they also have these wonderful flat and fitted eucalyptus sheets. They're Cijo home flat and fitted eucalyptus sheets. There's also the Epic water filters and the water bottle with a filter in it. These make a great product, especially if you're away at a dorm and you're not sure about the source of the water that you're using, or even at home. Makes a great product. And I love this book. This is for the younger set. It's Olivia's First Day of School book, and it's by Storybug. So those are my products for this week, and you can find more info on them at themarialiberatishow.com. We should have links and some info on those products later this week. And also stay tuned next week. I will be telling you about some more products that I found. Oh, and one more product that these are perfect we're talking about school lunches. Ziploc storage bags. You know, Ziploc has storage bags that come in small, large sizes, really any size. So these are great not only for packing packing lunches for the office for work, or storing leftovers in at home as well. So don't forget the Ziploc storage bags. I almost forgot those. And stick with me for this week's interviews. So we do have a back to school interview, and then I do have another person on, an author. He's actually an award-winning audiobook narrator, and he has an interesting book out that kind of combines being a geek with a wine lover, wine expert. So you'll hear more about that in this week's episode. And my special guest today is Yvette Hill. She's a registered dietitian, nutritionist, and it's back to school time. So I wanted to have Yvette on to talk about school lunches and maybe how we can make them healthier, and just give us some tips on packing school lunches. Yvette, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, Maria. Thanks so much for having me. And like you said, it is back to school. So week after week, families have been trickling into the school systems, including mine. I've got three in school right now. And
Uh-huh.
with that can come added anxiety, right? Like, what do I pack for lunch? As if dinner was on food and what we should pack. But not only that, there's this added factor now of like rising cost. Everything is so much more expensive, including the foods that we eat. So hopefully we're going to try to resolve some of that with some of the suggestions that we provide
Yes.
today.
So I guess to start off with, what would you suggest to pack in a lunch if parents are making lunches? And yes, you're right, there's so much anxiety for all kinds of different things, and this is one of them that adds to it. So give us some suggestions.
Yeah, it is so easy to pack the popular snacks, right? The ones that we see on television, the ones that are advertised. But what we want to try to focus on are things that are going to nourish our brains, that is going to focus our children so they are able to learn, provide a little bit of energy. So, how we do that is making sure that we include some balance.
Mhm.
Whole foods that will balance the lunchbox. So things like fruits and vegetables, a good quality source of protein, a starch, ideally complex carbohydrates, and then some source of calcium. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to do milk, but definitely try to tap into some of those alternatives. What I would stay away from is trying out new foods. So don't let your kid's lunchbox be this time to experiment, because what can happen is you can end up wasting food and then your kids come back hungry. So we don't want to use it as a testing ground. Just pack something that we know we've tried at home first, but then also allow it to be wholesome, and then reducing some of those sugary, more refined carbohydrates. There's a few ways to do this. So when we think about fruits and veggies, because that's the first thing that I mentioned, you don't necessarily have to go to the produce section. I know that's where we typically kind of file in to get our foods. But we can think about some of those other options, the frozen fruits and veggies, the pantry staples. I say find an opportunity to build out your pantry at this time, because this could really carry you through the school year.
Mhm.
So we don't have to do those peaches that are fresh. We don't have to do those berries that are fresh. You can certainly do those things frozen. And what I love about those frozen and canned foods is that they last a little bit longer too. So when we talk about cost, usually they're going to be cheaper than the fresh produce. But then they also will have an extended shelf life versus produce, which goes bad pretty quickly. And again, that can lead to food waste. I always want to say too, when I talk about fruits and veggies, because there's such a misconception, is that people think that they're compromising on nutrition if they go these routes. And that's not it at all. Oftentimes, these things are they're plucked or harvested at their peak ripeness, and then they're flash frozen or they're canned at that time. So don't think that you're swapping out quality because you're trying to find something a little more cost effective.
That's great. Great idea. Because, yes, I know I hear that all the time about the costs are
Mhm.
rising and how do they keep things healthy. Um, and what, so I guess you had told us the nutrients, but what like specific nutrients would you say to focus on in the lunches that, we're preparing for our kids?
Yeah, so we want to focus on those growing bodies. These are little kids who need quite a few nutrients. The good
Mhm.
thing, though, is even the picky eaters can find a way to get the nutrition in. So I wouldn't worry too much unless there are some existing medical conditions that can impede how they are processing nutrients or absorbing them. But we would want to focus on things such as protein for growing
Uh-huh.
bodies. We want to focus on calcium for growing bones, iron, all of those things that those growing bodies need. And so, again, having that balanced plate, also think color, because color is another way to kind of indicate I have made this a pretty good lunch. I tried to be pretty balanced. Those colors exist for a reason. So, like the orange and the carrots, right? The orange are going to provide beta carotene for the eyes and the brain. Those purple, let's say purple carrots, I was going to say purple fruits or veggies, they will provide some anthocyanins, which are other antioxidants that can help with growing bodies as well. So this is why you'll hear dietitians say, eat the rainbow. That way we know we've covered it, we've gotten those nutrients in, and likely we'll hit those nutritional needs as well.
That's great. All definitely great tips. So I understand there's some type of a stigma with like school lunches. Is that the school lunches that the schools provide? Is that correct?
That is correct. And I have no idea. Well, I would say I have no idea where this came from. But I mean,
Right,
street meat has existed since we were kids, right? So
right.
there is always this stigma about, well, if you eat the school lunch, then maybe somehow you can't afford a good lunch from home, all types of things. Maybe there is this, and well, the movies, they don't help at all, right? So
Oh
you'll see
yeah,
like the lunch
that's
lady
true. Yes,
plops the gruel on the lunch tray. So that's
yes.
helpful. I will say though, this is my opportunity to advocate for having lunch at school.
Uh-huh.
Oftentimes, the school lunch can be cheaper than what you pack at home. And then there are also studies that show there's just a higher intake of fruits and veggies in children who eat those who eat the school lunch.
School
So
lunch.
that's really impressive when we talk about like statistics. But then, if you want to get a little shinier, snazzier, fancier, there are school lunches that have like salad bars. There are school gardens. So they've really started to elevate even what a school lunch has become.
Uh-huh. I've heard that. And it does take off that anxiety for the parents to, oh my gosh, now I have to, they have to spend that time in, figuring out what they're going to make for lunch, shopping, whatever. So it's a good
Yeah.
way also to save some time and, but this kid still can eat healthy. So
Mhm.
lastly, I wanted to know, so how can give us some tips on how do parents encourage kids to eat healthy?
That is a really good question. And I love this one because I try to do this myself.
Uh-huh.
Get the kids involved. Give them something to do. Kids are always bored.
Uh-huh.
At least mine are. So give them something to do. That something to do could be help me make the grocery list. And I also garden. I'm looking outside of my window here, but um, help me grow veggies. I did that with my 7-year-old, and he eats veggies like nobody's business. The teachers will even say, I've never seen a kid love veggies as much. So if they are involved, oftentimes they buy into the idea of all of this. So whether you're growing a garden or not, you can also have them be involved in the grocery store. There's so many varieties of even just one fruit or veggie. Even if we're shopping in the produce section, there are tons of apples, right? So maybe they feel just a little more involved and that apple is even more special because they've helped pick it out. And then you take your groceries, right? You bring them back home, and the involvement doesn't stop there. Have them be involved in prepping foods as well. Like maybe they decide, I'm going to pack this for my lunch. I'm going to also pair it with this. And then all of a sudden, this has become something that they feel good about as well. I think, kids feeling good about what they eat can also encourage them to eat a bit more. So again, get them involved, give them something to do.
Great. All great tips. Yvette, thanks so much for giving us those tips today.
Yeah, of
And
course.
much success to parents in preparing these healthy lunches for back to school. Thanks
That's
again.
right. Good luck to all the parents out there in the middle of it.
Yes,
So,
yes.
thank you so much, Maria.
Oh,
Have a
and
good one.
Yvette, tell us, do you have a website? Is there anywhere people can
I
find you?
I do, I do. So
Yes.
you can just search my name, YvetteHill.com. So that's Y as in yellow, V as in Victor, ETTEHILL. The last name is a little easier.com.
Okay, and we'll try and put that on the website at the marialiberati.show.com so people have that. Great. Thanks so much for being here. Thank you.
All right, enjoy the day.
Thank you. You
Okay.
too. Discover the timeless secrets of Italian cuisine with a Basic Art of Italian Cooking series by Maria Liberati. That's me. From fragrant basil to silky olive oil, each page is a culinary masterpiece. Taste the passion, embrace the tradition, and create your own masterpieces in the kitchen with my Gourmand World award-winning book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking. Buon appetito, and you can find the books on Amazon.com, Kindle, on marialiberati.com, and on the publisher's website, artoflivingprimamedia.com. And my special guest today is Colby Elliott. He's an author, but he also happens to be an award-winning audiobook narrator. And we're going to hear about this interesting book that he wrote. Colby, I'm going to let you tell the audience the title.
Sure. The name of the book is called Geekery and Wine, The First Case. It's a collection of podcasts that I had for one time. I had a friend of mine who I was talking to at a narrator's camp, if you will, where we
Uh-huh.
were all kind of getting training, and he sat me down. We started talking about the things that were interesting to us, and
Right.
I told him, "What if I paired like a bottle of wine with an aspect of geek culture?"
Uh-huh.
He said, "Oh, I'd like to read that. That sounds really great." And so I started writing up the blog, and I had a few episodes in, and then I kind of went, well, I also do audiobook narration, so
Uh-huh.
I narrated it and turned it into a podcast.
Uh-huh.
Then from there, that podcast became 12 specific podcasts, and I'm like, well, that's a case of wine right there. And then
Yes, yes. I'm so,
yeah,
so sorry for the dogs in the background. Oh
that's
my gosh, I can't believe they're
okay.
doing that. So, no, that's a very interesting story how you combined the wine with that whole concept. You have to give me a second. I have to shut them up or get them in another room. All of a sudden, they're barking their heads off. I don't know
Honestly,
why.
that's
Hold
okay.
on
I
one.
can't hear them.
Oh, you can. Okay,
No, not at
that's
all.
good.
No,
Okay, I just didn't want you hearing them. So,
not at all.
okay, we'll just let them go then. That's fine.
Okay.
So,
So
I'm sorry for interrupting you.
no problem. So after I had put together the geek and the wine aspect of it, I felt like there should be more to talk about. So I did something that's kind of a little bit of a Gen X thing. I
Right?
loved albums, and I still do. I have vinyl albums. Even back here, I have a turntable and vinyl album. And I
Uh-huh.
love liner notes. And
Mm-hmm.
so what I did was I did the liner notes to each one of the audiobooks that I did
Uh-huh.
when I first started my audiobook career. So I would do geekery, wine, and then some audiobook creation, and I would talk about what I learned along the way.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, well, that's great for the podcast. It was really great. But then for the book edition, I wanted to add one more thing,
Right.
which I thought would add just a little bit more, another layer of stories.
Uh-huh.
And that was talking about my experiences in the audiobook industry. So I had lunch one time with a gentleman by the name of Scott Brick, who a
Uh-huh.
lot of people say is like kind of the voice, the male voice of American audiobooks. You hear him and you go, oh, that's the voice right there.
Oh, okay.
And I had lunch with him, and I wrote an essay about that. I was able to be directed by a guy named Bill DeFries, a wonderful audiobook director. He directed me in an audio drama, and
Right.
I wrote a story about going up to his recording studio up in Maine and
Uh-huh.
meeting him and creating with him. And it just became this kind of wonderful togetherness and tapestry of stories
Mm-hmm.
that was based in wine and in things that I loved with geekery. Each time it was about connecting, you know, with the audiobook business stories, I connect with my colleagues.
Huh?
With the geekery stuff, typically I connect with my kids.
Uh-huh.
And then with the wine, I connect, you know, with my wife and my older adult friends.
Huh.
And so it's kind of a connection about how we come together over these different things. So yeah.
Wow, I love the way you connected wine to all that stuff because I've always tried to connect food to so many different things. There's so many ways you can
Oh yeah.
connect those things. So I know you told me it's in audiobook right now. What it was just released, I guess, or was it has it been
Yeah.
out? It was
It
just
came out actually on August 11th, which is
uh-huh.
actually technically it was National Sons and Daughters Day. And I
Uh-huh.
thought that was particularly appropriate because so many of the stories that I tell about geek culture have to do with my kids as they were growing up. And so I decided to release it then for them. And
I see.
yeah, yeah. So it's been out for a little while. And
Yes,
I have had some folks who have asked me, it's like, well, is this ever going to be like an ebook because you did you did the blog, and it's
right.
like those that's out there.
Uh-huh.
I think of it kind of this way: the audiobook is the album, it's
Right,
songs, and
right.
you know, will I publish the sheet music for the music at some stage? Yeah, probably. I think I've got
Uh-huh.
that. So I've got an editor who wants to work with me on that and putting it together into a volume, and we'll make
Uh-huh.
it ebook so that the things that I mentioned in the blog, the hot links that go to different places, you can always check those out. Um,
Uh-huh.
yeah, but for right now, I love the warmth of it, and it's kind of like sitting down with me and having a glass of wine or a cup of coffee and sharing some stories. And
Uh-huh. So yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. So it's about stories, just your stories. And you said something about, so you did say podcast. So is it a compilation of podcasts? Is that also?
it's the first 12 podcasts that I did for Geekery and Wine, and then the other stories that I added to it as well. So just kind of
I
make it
see.
full a more of a complete listening experience. And
Yes, yes, that's wonderful. And I can imagine the audiobook has more kind of personality to it because obviously it's, people are hearing. So there's more to it, obviously, than if it was in a written, if it was in a written. So,
yeah, I I'm a real audio nerd, and
uh,
so I put in a lot of like sound effects, like
uh-huh,
hey, hold your horses, and then you'll have the sound of a horse galloping coming up
uh-huh.
into the scene. I add a lot of those little things because I think it makes it a lot more fun, a more immersive experience to kind of hang out with when
Yes, yes,
you're driving
definitely.
down the road, heading to heading to your parents' house or going someplace on the road. It's a better companion if it's more immersive.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Yes. And so can you tell us, like, is there one of your favorite stories in the book, a story that's one of your favorites in the book?
Well, you know, each one of them was kind of like it. Each one of the stories sort of sets up a particular style of wine. Um,
Uh-huh,
I had a friend who was getting married, and I've been someone, I was a vocal performance major for a while, so I sang at a lot of weddings as I was growing up.
uh-huh.
And I thought he was going to ask me to sing, but he wasn't. He was asking me to be the minister.
Oh,
And
wow.
so we went to a steakhouse for his
Uh-huh.
bachelor party, and I had
Mhm.
this Seven Terraces New Zealand Pinot Noir, which I just
Uh-huh.
felt so wonderful and delicate. It went well with like steak, but it was also really nice by itself. And it was
Mhm.
just this interesting way of how that story cemented that particular bottle of wine, that brand, that style, that varietal in my mind just by having that particular story there. And a lot of them are kind of that way too. I looked at some. There was a Japanese anime that I was
Uh-huh.
talking about that I really enjoyed,
Uh-huh.
and so I decided to take that particular anime and talk about it. And then the wine that I wanted to talk about, it just happened. I looked at the year on the bottle, and it was made in the same year as the first issue of when the manga that the anime was based on came out. So it actually kind of linked up in the stars. It was
Oh,
perfect.
wow. Oh, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, really, it was
Great.
really fun. Yeah.
Yes, great story.
There's
So do
always
you,
those two. Oh, sorry.
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I always have a friend who says, "Oh, you should probably see if you can get like a 1972 Barolo."
Oh,
And
yeah,
so you can talk about Pong, the
exactly.
first video game. And I thought,
Yes, yes,
that's interesting. That might be a little outside of my budget for the podcast. So it's definitely a good idea. And I do love me a good Barolo.
yes.
Yeah,
I think
month-old,
we
yeah.
all do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's great. Great story. So do you continue, do you still have a podcast?
So right now, I haven't done a podcast in a while.
Oh,
I've
okay.
run my own audiobook production company.
I see.
It's called Last Word Audio. I've got about 61, 62 titles that I've published on Audible and iTunes.
I see.
And currently in the works, I am talking to the media about geekery and wine
Uh,
while I'm doing the finishing error correction on a nonfiction book called Catapult about these two
uh-huh.
friends who built a catapult together. And I
Uh-huh.
have a third book that is a mystery where the investigating officer is a park ranger,
Uh-huh.
and I'm working on that series as well. Uh, Actually, it was written by a gentleman named Paul Wagner, who's a sommelier that I actually got.
Oh, wow. Oh,
And so I have three books that are currently either in production or
great.
talking about the media. And so the podcast has slipped away a little bit. I do have some other short fiction and travel log stuff that I've
Uh-huh.
been getting some pressure from some of my audience to continue on. They know that
Right.
I'm going to a particular convention, a geek convention, and they
Uh-huh.
want me to write about it. And
Uh-huh.
then there's always those other small things that are in there. So is it possible that it could come back for a second case? Absolutely. Is it something that's doable between now and the end of the year? No. I still do enjoy wine. I still plan trips around wine. My wife and I are actually going to be heading out tomorrow. We're flying to the north of Spain,
Oh,
uh,
wow.
Bilbao and San Sebastian. Going to be doing some hiking and, of course, drinking plenty of the chocolate, the white wine of the Basque country.
Uh-huh.
Very excited about that too.
Oh,
So
that sounds really exciting. Yes, lucky you. Wow, very exciting. I'm sure you'll have a lot to, it will be inspiring, for some other book or series.
yeah.
Definitely. Very
Well,
inspiring.
taking a nice romantic getaway with my wife too is also always inspiring. She's my favorite travel buddy, and we just build some really wonderful memories when we go on our trips. So yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So, I guess we're almost out of time. So tell everybody where they can find the audiobook.
Sure. Well, it's on exclusively on Audible, and you
Okay.
can look it up under Geekery and Wine, or you can go to my website, which is lastwordaudio.com, and that has all of the books that I've done with links to their sites, as well as different appearances that I might do at certain conventions or those kinds of things. So
Right.
lastwordaudio.com, and also on Audible, search my name Colby, like the cheese, and
Right.
Elliot with two
Two
L's and
L's,
two T's.
two
Yeah.
T's, right? Yes, yes. Great. All right, Colby, thank you so much for being here and have a wonderful trip. I'm sure you will.
Thanks,
Much
Maria.
success with the book and all your upcoming books.
I appreciate it. This has been just a lovely chat. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening to the Maria Liberati Show. Thanks for joining us. And thanks to my special guests. And as always, thanks to my producer, Britton Roselle. And as we pack away the picnic baskets and fold up the beach chairs, Labor Day reminds us that rest is not just a reward, it's a right earned through resilience. From the spirited marches of 1882 to today's quiet reflections, the holiday continues to honor the hands and hearts that build our world. So whether you spent the Labor Day weekend working, wondering, or simply unwinding, I hope you found a moment to celebrate your own journey. And as we step into September's rhythm, may we carry that spirit of dignity, purpose, and grace into everything we do. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, And as always, savor the story. And you can find me at marialiberati.com, on Twitter or X at Maria Liberati, on Instagram at Maria Liberati, on Facebook at Chef Maria Liberati, on Vimeo at Maria Liberati, on Pinterest at Maria Liberati, our YouTube channel called The Maria Liberati Show. The blog for the podcast is themarialiberattishow.com, and you can find my Gourmand World award-winning books, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, anywhere books are sold, but you can find them at marialiberati.com and also on the publisher's website, artoflivingprimamedia.com. If you'd like to get an audiobook version of most of my books, you can now get them at Kindle and Amazon, and you can also find the books at barnesandnoble.com. And until next week, peace, love, and pasta.